Typical household energy bills are up £149 a year in October. We're going to read more into these numbers from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the BBC with the headline that the typical household energy bill will be up to £149 a year in October. A typical household annual energy bill will rise by £149 in October under the new price cap. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. The cost of living crisis is not over. We know it's not over. It hasn't been, well, still being felt. Probably that's not the right words to probably say on this, but what I will say is that things are going to get worse before they get better. I think it's the best analogy I have to put to people. And I know it's already tough, out there for people. It's very tough. For some people, that it's just too much astringent. Now, does this mean, is this all doom and gloom? Does this mean, will the government introduce something maybe to help mitigate this? I don't know. I'd like to think that Rachel Reeves will give something back in the budget at the end of October. But the problem is, this is coming into effect in October. So this is where it's like, can you guys please do something? Oh no, we have to be physically responsible, says Rachel Reeves. Yeah, I know. I'm angry too, guys, because people just need a little something just to help them, because it's rough right now for people. There are people out there who are literally surviving. They are trying to survive, and it's outrageous that that the likes of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, that some people living in these countries, in these foreign nations, that are considered one of the wealthiest. We are considered one of the wealthiest on the planet. And yet we still have people who are struggling to get by, struggling to make ends meet, struggling to choose between heating and eating. And their bills are about to go up. Energy bills are about to go up. Again, as if some of these people who can't already turn on their can't even flick on a switch or anything because of how much it costs. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane. What are people supposed to do? I just don't understand what people are supposed to do in this situation. And this is where you need people like Martin Lewis from Money Saving Expert to be able to try and help mitigate as possibly they can. This really, I will say one thing about this cost of living crisis, especially if you are someone who isn't rich and wealthy, if you're someone who's on the middle or lower income, if you're not learning how to manage your money, you should be learning how to manage your money. And you should be making sure that your kids learn how important the value of money is and making sure they learn how to manage it too. Because it really is a case of making every single penny count. It's not right that people have to have this unnecessary stress, anxiety, the effects that it can have on them psychologically, mentally, on people because of the stress of whether or not they'll be able to pay their next bill or not. It's not right, guys. It's not. So let's read into it. So a typical household energy bill will rise by £149 in October under the new price cap. People using an average amount of gas and electricity will pay £1,717 a year, a 10% rise compared with now. I remember my energy bills so much. And listen, I think I'm talking like about 7 years ago when I was renting. Man, it was so much less than that. It's absolutely crazy. The cap set by the energy regulator Ofgem affects the price paid for each unit of gas and electricity used in 27 million homes in England, Wales and Scotland. Although prices are still lower than last winter, the rise in bills comes as some support for bills have been withdrawn, and the new government has announced that it will halt winter fuel payments for 10 million pensioners in England and Wales. Energy prices have fallen twice this year in April and July, but will head back up in the run-up to winter and about £12 a month for the typical user. To calculate the effect of what households will pay this autumn, bill payers can add 10% to the current annual bill. The rise in the rent cap of the result of higher prices on the international energy market, Ofgem said, owing to an increase in geopolitical tensions and extreme weather driving competition and the demand for gas, which determines the price of wholesale electricity. The bills will remain about £117 a year cheaper for typical households than in October last year, but analysts say another rise in prices is likely in January. Standard charges are rising by 1 penny a day for gas and also for electricity, but the regulator is considering reforming the system. So how your bills will change in October? So this is where we'll break it down for you guys. So in specific terms, so gas prices will be capped at 6.24 pence per kilowatt an hour. It's kWh, and electricity at 24.5p per kilowatts per hour, up from 5.48p and 22.36p respectively. Now, a typical household uses 2,700 kilowatts of electricity a year and 11,500 kilowatts of gas. Households on prepayment meters will pay slightly less than those on direct debit, with a typical bill of 1,669. Those who pay their energy bills every 3 months by cash or check will pay more, with a typical bill of 1,829. The standard charges, a fixed daily change covering the cost of connecting to a supply will go up by 61p a day for electricity and 32 pence a day for gas, compared with 60p and 31p respectively, although they vary by region. So here's a graph here from Ofgem, and it's got its star there for a typical household and price caps, fuel dual tariff paying by direct debit there. So how your energy price cap has changed here. This is typical household energy bills. So if it wasn't, so the energy price guarantee obviously helped back in 2023, and it dropped in July. There that you can see obviously in July 2023, but obviously up to October it dropped again. Then when it will be back up in January, April, July roughly the same. In October it's looking like it's going to go up to 1,717. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but it is to some people, but it is still going to hurt people who are, especially when they're trying to make every single penny count. That is still going to hurt certain people anyway, for sure. I'll just give you, can I show you in a clear screen? I'm just going to show you in a clear screen there, so you can see there in the clear screens exactly how it looks there, if that helps you guys. So prices are much lower than at the peak, but will remain well above pre-COVID pandemic levels, and the financial support from the government has either been wound down or is being cut. The final cost of living payment, which is made to 8 million people, means tested benefits in February, and the new government has announced it will stop future winter fuel payments for 10 million pensioners in England and Wales, which we've spoken about before. The payment is a devolved matter in Scotland and Northern Ireland, and the Scottish government confirmed it will no longer provide the winter fuel payments to all pensioners. And that's the benefit of remaining part of the union for our Scottish friends. Billy and Sylvania Cunningham, a couple aged 70 from Warrington, are two people that will be hit by the benefit changes. We did the help last year, but we still felt the cold. We had to wrap in blankets and watch the smart meter shoot up, says Mrs. Cunningham. Her husband has Parkinson and struggles when he gets cold. It's hard work sometimes, she said. If your fingers are freezing, you can't do nothing. The couple are just £100 above the threshold to qualify for pension credit. State pension top-up will also be missed out on the future on winter fuel payments worth another £200. One unexpected bill, they said, could push them into an overdraft as higher prices already eroded their savings buffer. Some households are already in debt to their suppliers and now face increased prices in the run-up to winter. The latest Ofgem figures show that $3.3 billion is owed to suppliers by customers behind on, if not paying bills. The figure is expected to rise when the next data is published in September. Ofgem Chief Executive Jonathan Burley said prices would be volatile in the long term, so building a low-carbon, homegrown energy system was a sensible policy. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband said the increase in prices would be deeply worrying for families. We will do everything in our power to protect bill payers, including by reforming the regulator to make it a strong consumer champion, working to make standard charges fairer, and a proper warm home plan to save families money, the Labour MP said. Conservative Claire Coutinho, Shadow Energy Secretary, criticised the government's decision to make winter fuel payments benefits mean tested. Although the price cap is changed for every 3 months, it is illustrated by Ofgem in terms of annual bill for a household using a typical amount of gas and electricity. People in larger properties will tend to pay more overall due to high energy usage, while those in smaller properties likely use less to pay less. As well as announcing the new price cap, Ofgem is also outlining options to change the standard charging building system. Standard charges are fixed daily fees paid for those being connected to the system, but they are unaffected by how much people use. The short-term options are presented by the regulator include a potential plan to move between £20 to £100 from the standard charge to the price paid for every unit of energy use, giving the customer the opportunity to save money by lowering their usage. There needs to be some ideas to help people. Too many vulnerable people do not have the opportunity to do so, as they might need to keep the heating on or use electricity to run medical equipment. Yeah. Mr. Bailey said there is no silver bullet when it comes to altering standard charges. Greg Jackson, the boss of supplier Octopus Energy, said it was crazy that standard charges were so high and varied by region. Yeah, this is what happens when you leave it in the hands of private companies as well. Yeah, privatization, guys. Yeah, privatization, capitalism. So it just has here how some pensioners can claim support. An estimated 880,000 low-income pensioners households eligible for pension credit can currently fail to claim it. The government says it's worth an average of £3,900 a year, and claiming it can qualify for people for other financial support as well as winter fuel payment. You can check your eligibility for pension credit via the government online calculator. Information is also available how to make a claim. There's also a phone number available on weekdays, 0800 99 1234. That's from the government website. Guides to benefits when you qualify, what to do, something goes wrong, are provided by the independent money helper website backed by the government. Moneysavingexpert.com is another one, guys. Benefit calculators also run by Policy and Practice and charities Ed to Do and Turn to Us. So yeah, the link for the article will be in the description, obviously, if you want to head towards these websites if you're somebody who will be affected by these guys. And that's I will say, obviously, my heart goes out to people who are going to struggle, as a result of these rising bills. But this is, once again, this is the price that people pay for, the price that we pay for having everything in the hands of private companies, capitalism. Like this would not be the case if it was public ownership. This would not. This is just hurting us, guys. It really, really is. It's really frustrating. And yeah, I don't know how some people are going to survive, but unfortunately, people do tend to die during the winter because of this cost of living crisis, because some people just cannot afford to put on the heating. And it's incredibly heartbreaking, especially after the winters, and when you hear stories of some people who have been, some elderly people who have been, an elderly person who, for example, has been living alone in their house and they haven't come out for weeks or months or whatever, and then someone finally goes and knocks on the door and finds out the person is dead. Because they couldn't afford the heating. Yeah, it's pretty crap situation. But what do you guys honestly think about the household energy bills going up? Should the government be doing more? Can it do more? Will it do more? Are people saving enough money? Is it consumers' fault that they're in the situation they're in? Or is it the fact that we allow private companies to run and look after our energy rather than the state? Maybe that's the problem. Or it's a combination of multiple things. Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And if you can subscribe, please do, because it really does help support the channel. And if you can, go one step further and financially support me in the work that I do here. You can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or you can join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.